Okay, so now that we have our collection preview, we need to start looking at building our menu item component. So we know that our menu item component is going to consist of a image, as well as a title, a price, and this button that allows us to add it to the cart. Now, we're not going to actually add any of the functionality in just yet. We haven't really considered how to handle our cart yet, but let's just build out this component first. So let's add in a collection item into our components. And in our folder, we're going to do the same thing we've been doing, our collection item.component.jsx, and then our collection item.styles.scss. The more you type this, the better you'll get at it. Which is always what's really interesting, is that at first it always seems a little repetitive, but you actually find that you really do end up remembering everything and what their purpose is the more you practice typing the same folder structure for your components and what to do with them. Okay, so now for our collection item, we know that we need certain things to come in order to populate our menu item, but we don't need any state. So let's make another functional component. So const collection item is equal to this functional component that returns this div with our class name collection item. And then we're going to give it a div. And now that div is going to hold our image. So let's just give it the class name of image for now. And let's do the same thing we did before with our directory items. So instead, we know that what we're going to pass in will be an ID. We will also get our name. We will get our price and our image URL. And we have all these when we brought in that data earlier in our collection, or sorry, in our shop page, right? In our shop data specifically. So we need an ID, name, image URL, and price. Now we are going to put in what we did before with our style, and we are going to do background image goes to our string interpolation value of image URL. So nothing new here just yet. And then we're going to add another div. And here we're going to add our collection footer. Now, inside of our footer, we have, is this a double repeat? Actually, we don't even need this closing tag. We are going to bring in our span, which will be our name, as well as our price. Awesome. Okay. Now, let's export this out. And let's bring in the styles that we have for this component. So I've written them already for us, but we can take a quick look at what they are. So inside of our collection item, we are styling our image so that its height is 95%. Now, that means that our collection footer's height will be 5% of the total height of our collection item, which will be 350 pixels. So this is pretty much going to be the layout for our actual component, what we see here. So one important thing to note is that this flex column on our collection item will essentially allow our footer and our image to sit in a vertical alignment, right? And then our collection footer is just our regular display flex. And then we have some space between them so that our content gets pushed apart. Our title takes up 90% of the space in our total footer. And then the price is going to be 10%. So because our price is probably never going to grow that large, we got to make sure to have our name take up the majority of the space here. Okay. Now, if we import in our collection item to our collection preview so that we can access the new collection item we wrote. We can now, instead of doing this div, just map it through like so. And because we need the properties on the item that we had before, we're just going to do what we did earlier. And we're going to destructure off our ID, but we're also going to destructure the rest of our item props and pass that through like so. Let's do other item props. Whoops. And now it's no longer a div. We'll just make sure to destructure or spread our other item props into our collection item. Oh, we also have to style our collection preview. So those stylings are down here. Okay, there we go. So we have our price and we have our thing. Because there's no styling coming through, let's just inspect quickly and see if we're missing something. So while you code, you might see this happen. You just want to make sure that our naming is correct for everything and we're getting the styles. So I don't see the styles that we wrote being applied here. Although we are getting the actual image right here being rendered. So, oh, I see. Our collection preview, our collection item. Oh, we didn't save. There we go. Silly mistakes. So sometimes if you just take a look inside of your DevTools, it's very easy to see where perhaps we are going wrong, because we know for sure, due to the way that React is set up, everything should be in at a specific time. So if it's not being loaded, then we probably messed up our import, right? Which we checked first, right? We made sure that we were importing in the right collection item, which we were. And then we checked if we had our naming, like our class names correct, which we did. So then it just turned out we didn't save it. So it's a silly error, but there's tons of those as you become a professional developer. A lot of the times you'll find that you're just banging your head against the wall for 30 minutes only to find out that you had a slight typo. It's very common. But just like that, we now have our collection component. So the only thing we're missing is the hover effect with the add button, but we can add that in a little later when we actually build out our cart, because that's what that feature will be tied to. And one more thing before we commit our code, we should add a little bit of padding on our overall project so that it aligns closer to this. So let's go into our app.css and let's do padding 20 pixels and 80 pixels. So I want 20 pixels on the top and the bottom and then 80 pixels on the side. And now it looks closer. So this may be a little bit more than what we had. So let's actually make this 60 pixels maybe. It's a little better. That's pretty good. So now let's commit our code. Let's go back to our terminal. Let's do a git add. All right, let's see what we first have to commit. Okay, git add. And then let's do git commit. Updating our app with a shop page, collection preview component, and collection item component. And now let's just git push origin master. Okay, our code is up. Now let's move on.